Hello, my name is Dale Dufay. I'm going to narrate this video for Mary Hall. She, at times, not only monitors many webcams and the ISS camera, the live feed on the space station. She also examines Google Earth, especially in Antarctica. And there's very unusual features there. Now, let's just say they're not natural. Let's go to them right now. Here she's got a still shot here of this one, and here you could clearly see it's not natural. Let's just put it that way. If it's not natural, then what is it? It's artificial. You could clearly see right angles here. It looks like a row of three squares on each side, which are tipped off of their axis and joined together at the points here. You can clearly see that. It's not a natural feature, and it's also not pixelation. Here's this line across here is like a data line, but you could see it's done by, if you look at the bottom, not on this still shot, but it shows that this is all done by Maxar technology, and it's very similar. The technology they use is basically lidar, and lidar picks up everything, even stuff under the ice. Here you could see a wall here. It's clearly visible. These are not natural features. And she's also, this shot is also almost 4,000. You can look down here in the lower left on the pin drop here. You can see that it's 4,000, almost 4,000 feet up. And you can see that this over in the lower right here, these are not these are option buttons. This is actually 3D. This is an option button to go into 2D. So she's got it on 3D. You can clearly see height and definition. And again, that's not natural features. And also, what I was getting at is it may appear to be pixelation, but it's not. Especially when it's this far up. You could start pixelating when you really zoom in. But she actually did a video we can kind of go through here of this same area right here. And we'll go through this video, and you could see the area again. She got the pin drop. There's the coordinates. It's only almost 80 degrees south. This is pretty far south. And we can go to Google Earth and see exactly where it is in Antarctica. But look at this. You can clearly, and it's not just this area, it's all over, even under the ice and everything. And you can see down here in the lower right, you can see it's done by Maxar Technologies. And then here we have the coordinates and the feet that it's up. And again, this is option button. It's not a indicator light. But here's that feature. But as you go around, if you look, there's areas everywhere. It almost looks like it's some kind of temple or city layout. In one of the videos, it might even be this one. There clearly shows, door openings, roadways, hallways, structures, you name it, everywhere. So, I mean, you ask, how could that be possible? There's been ice on this continent for, thousands, and not tens of thousands, if not millions of years. So how could there be artificial structures that are appearing as the ice is melting? How could there, is it possible that Antarctica at one point was in the temperate zone? Apparently so, because here we can clearly see, this isn't the only area. She's found many other areas, and every time it seems like she finds one, Google Earth kind of makes it even more difficult to find. They're hard enough to find these areas as it is, but Mary's got the patience to do it. And as she pans out here, you could clearly see how difficult all this is to find. And if you look in all these other areas, you don't see that. You see natural rocks and formations and mountain ridges and whatnot. It doesn't pixelate like it does here. So this is, obviously, again, it's not, the thing is it's not natural. We have to keep that in mind. This is the video here where it's another area. But I mean, look at this. She's in 2D right now. Again, this is not an indicator. It's an option button. So here's the coordinates. Again, it's about 80 degrees south and 157 degrees east in Antarctica. But this is, look at this. All this is not natural. There are areas that look natural because that's what they are. They're natural. But it proves that it's not all pixelation. It may appear to be, but it isn't, because pixelation, these look more like lidar images that are peering through the forest. Basically, again, that's what this Maxar Technologies down here in the U.S. Geological Survey, that's what they use is lidar. Look at the steps here. Stepped formation, many right angles. Over here there is everywhere you look, you see sharp right angles. And if it was pixelation, it wouldn't be so irregular. And what I mean by irregular is some of these structures are larger than the other ones. But it clearly looks like this was some kind of city. Now, how was it possible? Here she's going into 3 dimensions, and you could see the definition and height and shadows and whatnot. So there's clearly artificial. Again, that's the magic word. They're artificial. They're not natural. There's either an artificial, even under the ice here. Look at this. It's either artificial or it's natural. There's no in between. So if this is artificial, who built it? It's quite apparent, that archaeologists even having a hard time disagreeing that civilizations on Earth go way, way back. Now, this was obviously constructed when it was ice-free. Antarctica was in the temperate zone. And I'm one of those believers, personally, in the expanding Earth theory. Almost all geologists assume that the Earth was always this size. But during PANGEA, it was probably about the size of Mercury, and has grown since. It grows as it ages. It makes much more sense. And there are geologists that have postulated that as far back as the 30s. Of course, it's never been accepted because it's almost impossible to realize the Earth is growing, because during a human lifetime it wouldn't be noticeable. It's infinitesimal in our eyes. But if that is true, it was expanding, and Pangaea would have been very small. And it's very possible that this landmass was in the temperate zone, as the ice caps were on both poles during the Ice Age. So, if you believe in that possibility, then it would make sense that, no doubt, there were high-tech civilizations on Earth during the Ice Age. So it would make, we shouldn't be surprised to see this. It would, again, look at this. This is incredible. This whole video is about 12 minutes long. So it is, pretty. Look at this structure here. This is obviously, structures here. I'd like to find the one area where it shows the passageway going through. It might even be this one. But you can see, clearly see avenues, buildings, you name it. Like it was a city at one time. Here she's at 2 dimensions. So you can see the layout. Again, this isn't really, if you go to other areas where the ice is melted and there's mountain ranges and whatnot, it clearly shows, it looks like mountains. Here she's panning out. I mean, look at this structure. I mean, these are all artificial. It looks just like a lidar image. And essentially, again, that's what this is. This technology does this. Look at this area. It's just remarkable. And full of features. Here's like another area. It's just remarkable. Again, she's got to like really catch them, because it seems like they get blurred out more and more as time goes on. It's almost like they realize, look at this pyramid structure here. Looks just like a ziggurat, doesn't it? I mean, I can pause this, and we can kind of zoom back in on that. It clearly looks like a pyramid, doesn't it? with the plaza and everything and the steps coming down. Very likely that's, I mean, again, this, it always comes back to it's not natural. And there are areas, again, that you look and there you can see the natural, that it's, that it's obviously rocks and mountains and ridges and cliffs and things like that. You don't, it's very difficult to find these areas that look like the obvious civilizations at one point when Antarctica was ice free and part of Pangea. You have to visualize, again, if you buy into the expanding Earth theory, that when Earth was Pangea, it was mostly all landmass, very few water, areas of water, and the oceans were just developing. Basically, there were ice caps on both poles, and there was a temperate zone. Must have been really quite amazing, and obviously there were human civilizations on Earth when it was during Pangea, and that's remarkable when you think about it. And this is possibly proof of that. I mean, it's quite apparent. Again, it seems like when these areas are discovered, Google Earth blurs them out even more than they are right now. So it's amazing that she catches them. In fact, let's go to Google Earth real quick here. I'll show you the area she's been looking at. Again, this is Antarctica. I always liken it to an elephant, the continent. And this is the ears here. So she found it right in the, just below it, in between the earlobe and the skull of or head of the elephant. She likens it to a rhinoceros. To me, it looks like an elephant. But this is the general area. Now, when you zoom in, you could start appreciating how difficult it is to find these places. And then once she does, it seems like Google Earth goes through and blurs them out. So this is the ice that's melting so much that they can't even keep up with it at Google Earth. So they're constantly updating the data. And again, that technology is basically lidar technology. So let me take the pin off of this, and we could see that right down here in the lower right, we're 86 miles up, and you can see just how difficult. And then here it's 8 miles. It is to find these areas. It takes a great deal of patience, and Mary's been able to find quite a few so far, and I enjoy narrating them because to me it's absolute proof. This Maxar technology is very well known. They do a lot of government work and satellite imagery, and they use that lidar technology, and it can't help but pick up these unnatural features. Again, it always comes back to that. They're not natural, so what the heck are they? You know what I mean? Is this proof that there were ancient, I always call them the ancients to the ancients. In other words, the people that we consider ancient knew of civilizations that were ancient to them. And this could be evidence of it right here in Antarctica. So keep an eye out for more videos, and because Mary likes to look around. It takes a great deal of patience on this continent. And she finds all kinds of areas of interest, and right away they seem to be erased. So it's very interesting. So I'd like to also thank all you have made comments and expressed your thoughts during, because I've had a recent loss, and I very much appreciate that. So with that, we'll talk at you later.